Hello, I'm Jerry Lintner, and this is State of the Town, a monthly show when we sit with our First Selectman Mary Glassman and get brought up on the state of the town. Mary Glassman!
Jerry.
Come on out!
Good to see you, and thanks to SCTV for hosting today.
Well, yeah, come on. Still need more volunteers. Yeah, we're kind of, and we didn't even coordinate this. Like, I have blue, you have blue.
There you go.
You have kind of an orange.
Well, I
have
think
some
we're
orange in
thinking
here.
spring.
Absolutely thinking
about time.
spring. Absolutely thinking spring. And when I was driving down, I noticed Hub Meadow Street looks so tidy. Have they swept streets already? Are they sweeping streets or?
No, we haven't started sweeping. We're still in April, and with that storm last Monday, we're not out of the woods yet. But we.
Why does everything look
Well,
so
I think
tidy?
because the application of not using sand has made a difference in our roads.
Okay.
And it's a great town, so it looks great.
But there were no branches down or limbs.
Well, we've had a lot of snow and a lot of ice, but not a lot of wind damage and storm damage. I think we've been used to some really rough years where
Okay.
a lot of storm damage. And also we've improved our tree trimming program. We've added funding, and I think that's making a big difference in terms of outages and probably in terms of keeping trees
limbs
from
coming
falling.
down, sure. Yeah, we had one. I was at the Halloween storm. Big oak, two big branches, and they came partway down, and then they got entwined and sort of hooked in a Y over.
Yeah. So the tree trimming is making a big difference.
Yeah, but now ecologically, Mary, I mean, there's a real kickback on this from the utility companies in the state. You know, I mean, you go down, it's like, what are they preparing for here? You know, on the interstates, it's cleared way back, and there aren't any wires there.
Well, there is some controversy over how much tree trimming you do, but I think it's been a good balance in
Climate
Simsbury.
change.
And
We're speeding climate change,
you
you
go.
know. Well, then why don't we should plant some. Maybe we should plant shrubs.
There you go.
You know, so they wouldn't grow as high and they wouldn't break off and all of that.
Well,
Hey.
there is an effort to plant milkweed
Oh,
in
please,
Simsbury.
no. I come from the Midwest.
Okay.
Okay, and I know it does butterflies and all
It
that, but in the
does.
Midwest, I have all these memories as a child on my grandparents' farm, manually hoeing milkweed out of the wheat, out of the oats, out of the corn, out of the soybeans, in 150-degree temperature, uphill both ways.
I shouldn't have mentioned it.
No, and my wife loves them, you know, because we have them pop up once in a while, and they are pretty when they open up and float around and spread their seed in an evil way. So, not milkweed. No.
Yes, so there's an initiative actually that the Board of Selectmen will come
help
before the Board of
butterflies.
Selectmen to help butterflies. And a resident, Joan Miller, has been very active in tracking and monitoring the reduction of monarchs, and has been working with the Open Space Committee and working to possibly get board approval to add more milkweed along Ironhorse Boulevard on Helen's Way. And there is a Helen.
Maybe if it stays down there.
There is a Helen on Helen's Way. Helen Peterson, as you know, who
Yeah.
a long-serving member of the Planning Commission and a former selectman. And she actually had been working on raising butterflies through the Children's Center where she taught for many, many
Oh,
years.
yeah.
And so there's a collaboration going on to bring milkweed back to Simsbury to help attract the monarchs.
Okay, so Helen and Jim, they just got in under the wire, huh? Helen has a walkway named after her, and Jim has a block-and-a-half street, and now is
That's
it
right.
over and done?
Well, it's interesting, Jerry. There is a little bit of a controversy brewing about the naming rights policy in Simsbury, and so I'd be interested in hearing from our residents. We never had a naming rights policy until about a year ago. The Board of Selectmen had been approached to name as to how some of the buildings and some things in Simsbury had been named. And when we looked at the regulation, there really was no process. And I think I recall some folks asking after the high school was named Holden Field. The high school field was named Holden Field, and folks wanted to know what the process was. So when we started comparing other towns, we really noticed that we didn't have a policy in place to allow the public to have notice of our naming process and to really have a formal process. So about a little over a year ago, we did adopt a formal policy. It requires that if anyone wants to name a public structure or a public asset, they need to come to the Board of Selectmen for approval. And we have a public hearing give the public notice that we're considering it, and then have a vote.
Okay, a couple comments. Number one, I want to show you, first of all, how flexible and liberal I am. But before I do that, so that's not first of all, that's second of all. First of all, wouldn't it have been cool if the person who died rather than Holden, whose name was Winfield.
There you go. Well,
So that didn't happen. Well, maybe
happen.
somebody named Wynn will die, and they'll relocate the field.
It's never
and then
a good thing. But what's happening in Simsbury, it's really wonderful because
now we're going to go back to names.
Well, our community's so generous
yeah.
that I think it's really nice that someone, in many cases, they want to make a donation in order to memorialize someone. And other times they want to support an initiative. And in some areas, it's a way for the town to thank people for their service to the community. So I think it's really a wonderful thing that we have so many people involved in our community that naming something after them is a nice way to memorialize that person and to thank them.
Oh, yeah, but like, how many citizens do we have? How many people should we be memorialized? I think we should do it ourselves. For example, Jan and I have started. We have a name on a brick. Okay, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
And then we have our name on a label on a flower box.
Well, there you go.
But the road thing is kind of intriguing me. Now, I don't think anybody wants Jerry Road or Lintner Lane, but here's a possibility. My middle name is Leroy. Translated, the king.
So there you go.
So we live on a corner. Now I'm thinking, because originally moved there, it sort of had a horseshoe drive, but it was tearing up the yard, so we kind of relocated it. If I brought that all the way through and I let other people use it, but, you know, the estate would have to maintain it. I wouldn't want the city to take that burden. And because, you know, being French, I'm not French, but the name is, so that's kind of like, But if Kingsway, how about that? Kingsway, the town will be out nothing. It's on private property.
Well, we can't do anything because the Board of Selectmen did approve a 3-month moratorium. I didn't support the moratorium because I do feel the process we have now works very well. Folks can come and recommend that something be named after someone. We have a public hearing, we have a formal process, and then we either vote in favor of it or not. So I'm comfortable that the process works well. Some of the other selectmen would like to take 3 months and think about some improvements to the policy. So I'd be curious to hear from our residents as to what their input is as to whether we should name something.
I think it's unfair. I don't think we should ever name anything after anybody again.
There you go.
Okay, that's my opinion.
Take that into consideration.
Too many people. Too many people that do too many things.
Why
don't we call it People's Way?
There you go.
People's Way, and then we have a post out at the beginning of it and keep. Every time somebody dies, we add their name on it. Think how big that post would be. Eventually, we could make new posts, and there'd be a fence all the way down.
See, isn't this
cool?
Great,
Give me 5.
Great
give me
how
5.
we can talk about, great how local government is so open to all kinds of ideas.
Right.
So.
Okay, great. Now, speaking of budget, let's see budget. I mean, it's good news, but
it's great news.
Yeah.
For the first time, we will not have. First time I can remember, we will not have a tax increase, and I think it's really a wonderful message that we're sending.
When you say that, you mean even mill rate?
No mill rate increase.
Really?
Right, and I think it's certainly a credit to the town that we want to stay competitive. I think it sends a good message to our residents that we found creative ways to save money and provide services, and hope folks come out and talk about the budget. We have a public hearing on April 10th, and then we will be setting a referendum for May 6th.
I noticed the paper said, and if so, I'm surprised this is so, because it's never seemed to me that way before.
Exactly.
Usually Board of Finance says, this is it, now we'll take comment. But they're saying quite specifically, we may well adjust.
Exactly, and I think it's a credit.
So maybe more than 12 people will show up.
I hope so. I hope, this is one of the biggest decisions the town makes that affects every homeowner, every property owner. in our town, so it's really important that we hear from folks. But the Board of Selectmen budget has really been flat or decreased over the last 6 years. And so I've been proud that we've been able to bring in, that I've been able to recommend budgets that have really held the line. Because I do think that our mill rate is becoming not as competitive with other towns. But the Board of Selectmen budget is only 1/4 of the overall budget.
Right.
And folks may not realize that the First Selectman doesn't have authority over both the town and the Board of Ed budget. Board of Finance does.
People don't realize that?
I think people feel that, in some towns,
you're
the
way
council
down
and
the
the
line.
mayor.
You're junior. You only got a
little
third
piece.
to a quarter.
Yeah, a
quarter.
quarter.
To a third,
And, so we, over the last 6 years, have been working really hard with the Board of Ed to work together, to communicate, to coordinate, and to try to find savings. And, I think that the Board of Finance did a great job this year of having a conversation early about what our goal was. And to me, my goal was not to raise taxes, and I asked the Board of Finance to consider that. And I think it was a great discussion with Peter Askham as the new chair of the Board of Finance, and with Linda Schofield bringing her experience at the state level. I think there was a really a new tone to listening to what the overall goal was. I think the key initiative was also that I work very closely with the superintendent of schools, Matt Curtis, and we have been working very hard.
Is that a Curtis from the old Curtises, like original?
No. Matt does not live in Simsbury. He's not from Simsbury, but we worked very closely on
sorry,
trying.
Curtises. I didn't mean you're all old.
No,
I just meant
don't
you've
say
been
that.
here forever. So.
We looked at ways to collaborate and consolidate, and one of the key, I think the key initiatives that our taxpayers can be really proud of is that working with the town and the Board of Ed, we were able to consolidate insurance carriers. Previously, the town had a set of insurance companies they dealt with for their employees, and then the Board of Ed would have a separate program for their employees. But we had been working over the last few years to bring all of the insurance under one carrier. And this year we were able to finally implement that goal because we had to negotiate with our unions on both the town and the education side. And it's really a credit to both.
That's pretty amazing. That's
unbelievable.
A complex
Credit
process.
to the town staff, both on the town side
and the people.
and the Board of Ed staff. And the taxpayers of Simsbury are the winners because there'll be about $500,000 worth of savings that we can apply to next year's budget, which helped us, provide great school services, but yet not increase the education budget.
Right.
So it's a win-win.
Okay, good.
May 6th, it's the referendum. Put on your calendar.
You mentioned two things that caused me to think of other things. And one of them, Linda Schofield, and an unusual triathlon. Now, I believe this was her idea, if I have that. And this is the first year for her?
Yes. So one of the conversations that we've been having both with our residents and with our boards and commissions is keeping Simsbury healthy. Simsbury is a great place for outdoor activities. We have those wonderful trails. We made the bike-friendly community a priority. We were the first in Connecticut to get that designation. We have tourism committee and Dominique Avery and all the volunteers on the tourism committee promoting what a healthy place Simsbury is. And Linda got the idea to create a fun activity called Try Simsbury.
Oh,
and it has
like
trysimsbury.com. And it really
Triathlon.
combines, the goal of being healthy and fit and active with having people come to Simsbury and see it as a tourist destination. And Linda did a great job of coordinating a lot of volunteers and a lot of supporters. And so on May 18th, from 11 a.m. on Saturday, there'll be a run and a bike, and a kayaking portion. So
okay, now I understand kayaking because that will expose people. Oh, this river, this is a great place too.
Exactly.
But I'd never heard of a triathlon that had a kayaking in it. And what about people who do triathlons who don't have a kayak?
Well, it's really fun because I think the whole concept is to, the run will be up a hill, up a mountain.
Nice.
With coordination with the Land Trust. The biking will be along our bike trails.
Up what mountain?
And
not Hugh Blind.
No, not Hugh Blind. But the Tangier Hill, which is the new, off of Terry's Plain Road, the new land that the Land Trust has just acquired.
Where's the mountain there?
It's a little mountain going up to Penwood Forest.
Oh,
it's part
okay.
of,
Well, that's not
part
such a
of-
little mountain.
right?
No.
And then the kayaking portion will be along the river, and you can either bring your kayak or there will be kayaks available to rent. And if you don't want to do all three, there are actually teams that are coordinating, and a different person is doing a different piece.
Oh.
So you can actually, the idea is to be fun and not
Okay,
so
so
competitive
you're
that
biking for which one?
Well, I'm not sure what portion I'm going to do. I'm working that day, so I'm volunteering, and I know I'm not ready to do the run. I think I could do the bike, and I'm not a great kayaker, so I'm
How
going to
long
try
is the bike?
The bike is 11 miles, and the run is about 3.5 miles.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all quite doable for a broad range of people then.
Yeah.
It sounds like a fun
Exactly. And the
triathlon.
idea is to get out and enjoy the outdoors, to be healthy, to have some folks come to Simsbury that may
Right.
not have ever been to
Right.
Simsbury,
Right.
not only participate and try Simsbury, but also maybe try Simsbury for lunch.
Yes.
Or try Simsbury to
Or
shop.
that
And we've got a lot
yogurt
of great
shop.
restaurants in town. So.
Even in the winter, people were at the yoga shop. It really is good. We take our granddaughter, but the toppings seem to be the biggest draw. for
Yeah,
her.
those are the best. So,
Well, okay. So now the other thing that reminded me of when we were talking about the budget and that there won't be a tax increase and talking about making Simsbury an attractive economic development area.
yes.
Okay, so we got the marijuana. That's good. But we didn't get the marijuana fields around the Hartford that I had suggested. So where do we stand on the Hartford?
So we got a lot of exciting things happening, and just to finish off, May is the triathlon in May. I just wanted, before I forget, talk about May is Bike Month as well. So
okay, cool.
the triathlon
Cool.
is actually part of an entire month-long activity. So make sure you check us out. And we will also have a bike ride that I'll be hosting. So I hope to see you at Town Hall. And that's May 5th. We'll do a nice leisurely little bike ride from Town Hall. And I brought you a present
Oh, how'd my salt work out?
to
Did that help?
celebrate Bike Month.
Oh,
I thought
look.
maybe you could wear a little
Look. Oh, I certainly will. Look
memento
at
of
that.
promoting healthy lifestyles and
Oh,
getting
goodness.
up and out. And that's a courtesy of Simsbury Free Bike. So there's no excuses if you don't have a bike. Through the volunteers in town, Patty Jacobus and Diana Moody and Larry Leonis, there's a number of places throughout town that you can borrow a bike for free. So there's
And then
no
you take
excuse.
the bike back and you make a $10 deposit. Is that how it works?
You make a deposit and then you get your deposit back. So there
Yeah.
really is no cost. And what's really great is Simsbury Free Bikes is such a great, they do a great job accommodating folks who have visitors from town. So let me see if I can help you.
Oh, no, I see what I was
You
doing
got it?
wrong. Yeah.
Okay. So if you have visitors visiting, they'll work with you to make arrangements to get the number of bikes that you need in order to get on the trails. So let's celebrate. So you're ready to go.
I'm going
Perfect.
downhill, but that's okay. So I'm going
We'll fix it
downhill.
later.
Speaking of
So-
going downhill on bicycles, my wife and I had these bicycles at the first year we were married, and we were then in Southern California. So we bought each other, then 10 speeds were the thing,
Yes.
not 15 or 21 or whatever. So we bought these made in France Peugeot bicycles. And we rode a lot out there. When our daughter was young, and all of us were a lot younger, we had a lot of friends, and we'd go on breakfast bike rides.
Fun.
And first she was in a seat in the back, and then later on she had her bike. And then I forget why it stopped. Anyhow, the bikes didn't get used as much. So thinking about downsizing, and then we had a tag sale. So at one point I got them kind of refurbished, brought them out, and because when I got them refurbished that time, and the reason I did, this kid in the one bike shop said, God, I'll give you $750 for them. He said, they're like collector's items. At that time, Peugeot was then being made in Japan, not France, but I think it came back. Nobody wanted these bikes. So I called one of the bike shops and I said, so what are my options here? And they said, well, it would probably cost $100 to, get them revamped. And I said, and then what would they be worth? He said, not $100. So I'm thinking, those are nasty seats on those racing bicycles.
Yeah.
I see all these teams racing around and all that, and I think, maybe we're ready for one of these.
Well, there you go. And the free bike actually has tandem bikes as well. So if you and Jan want to get on one together, maybe you could check that out.
Oh, that'd be a total argument. You're going too fast, you're going too slow.
There you go.
I saw a couple on a tandem the other day, and I thought, what happens if only one of them wants to go for a ride?
Well, it's compromise.
Yeah,
It's
isn't life that?
There you go.
So there we go. We're going to get very philosophical now. Okay, Hartford.
Okay, so as part of what we're talking about, sounds like fun, bike friendly, promoting, but it's actually a very important component of our economic development initiative, and that's just selling Simsbury, promoting Simsbury. And the Hartford is using a lot of our initiatives of our downtown Preserve America grants, our notoriety as being a bike-friendly community, as being one of the top destinations in the country. They're using all of those accolades to help market the Hartford property.
I think.
And it's been great. We've had a lot of interest, and we're actually finalizing the land use code to help be proactive and to get the property ready for the next buyer. And really, our staff's doing a great job, and our volunteers on our boards and commissions, and really going through and trying to get a new zoning code ready for that site.
Okay, here we go.
You have an idea.
Another marketing approach. I know it's like, and there's a great educated workforce. That's a little vague. Mm-hmm. I think what we do, I know like core studies and that, and the testing has been having a little controversy. We could shift the focus on that. I think we have to do it by age category. IQ tests for every group from, every 10-year group. So, I mean, like by the time you get our age, you wouldn't expect me to have the same IQ I did at 35, but, and then nationally compare that, because they can say, wow, this is like the most intelligent town in America. What do you think?
I don't know where to go with that, Jerry.
No? No, does it sound a little
No,
too big
I
brother?
think,
or something? Maybe.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, but if
I
we
think-
volunteered,
I think what we
how are the only ones that volunteer be the dumb ones? And then we come out.
Well, I think what we focus on in Simsbury, is just making Simsbury a great place to live, and keeping people physically healthy and emotionally healthy. And we have a lot of programs right now that are designed through the schools in the town on keeping people emotionally happy as well, and that's really important component. So, I'd like to just spend a moment talking about the Community for Care Committee.
Okay, a moment.
A moment?
Go.
Okay. I just want to thank...
No, wait, say it again. Say it again, because I said community for what?
Community for Care.
Care.
And it's all about caring for each other and keeping people not only... I care about you,
I care about you too.
But what we're focusing on is just being good neighbors, really, just being good neighbors, and creating programs where people know their neighbors, where people feel comfortable reaching out and asking for help for them or for their neighbors, being a supportive community. And it's really a good way for us to bring parents together, neighbors together. It's being chaired by Woody Edens through the Simsbury Methodist Church. We have a great relationship with our clergy. There's a very strong clergy group in our town from all denominations, and also co-chaired by Selectman Hefner, Lisa Hefner, who's been the liaison to the Board of Education.
What a workhorse she is.
She
My
really
Lord.
is. If you want a job, get Lisa
Like
to
a
do
submarine. You see
yes.
sailboats going around, they all look very busy, but
And
underneath is that submarine that's
great.
doing all the work. Once in a while you see the periscope.
Absolutely,
That's Lisa.
absolutely. And the superintendent, Matt Curtis, has been very supportive, and it's really been a lot of hard work. Lisa and Woody and Sue Humrock, who works for Matt Curtis in the administration, have gone out and talked to other communities. Canton, for example, has a Community for Care committee, similarly, that involves community leaders and residents. And the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to just provide some information on alcohol and drug abuse pamphlets to parents, so parents know what to look for and are aware of how to be vigilant.
Oh, see, I was kind of misunderstanding this, because I was thinking all of a sudden, the timing is so incredible. First of all, a name like Woody. Woody, it harkens back, to Then it's like Community for Care. That's
Yes.
kind of like communal love. Then I'm thinking, you know, the baby boomers and the overlap with the flower children and all, and we have this great performance center. And a concern of mine is I don't think in the vocabulary there is any more, I don't parents say to their kids growing up, you know, look, what we're talking about is working for the common good here. I don't think that's even in the vocabulary anymore. But in those love-ins, in those community things, the flower children, everybody's sitting there in the mud, you know, and everybody's getting happy. No tobacco or alcohol abuse, however. And, you know, you bring your kids and everybody, community care, community care.
There you go.
We all hold hands and cheer.
We'll get you involved in the community.
I want to help.
There
I
you
want to
go.
help.
There
I
you
want to
go.
do that.
So I think you're going to see some really great things come out of this committee. I think you're going to hear a lot of public awareness of programs that people can take advantage of, free programs. We have a very supportive community that helps with food. We have
So how does
free
this happen?
mental
I
health
call
programs.
up and say, I want some care.
You can come through many different doors. You know, you can talk to your clergy. You can go confidentially to your clergy
I could
and
just
say,
call
I need
Lisa
help.
and say, Lisa, you're
You
in
can
the
call
help for this.
Lisa. You can call a social service department. You can go through the schools. What we're trying to do is create many different doors.
Yard work? Do
So
they help with yard work?
We do have a program where volunteers in our community.
Do you know
our
what
Boy
I did
Scouts help.
yesterday? And I found out I didn't need to do it.
You didn't need to do it.
No,
See,
I
we're
could've
here to
called,
help.
and
We're
Lisa
here to
would have
help.
come over to
There's
help.
a lot of great programs, and people don't even know about it. And so what we
didn't.
want to do is just create that outreach where folks can just call us confidentially, tell us
Us could be
what we
like
need.
town hall.
And many
It
different
could be
doors.
social
Can be my
services.
office, can be social services, can be, as I said, through
How about
your clergy.
Hiram's office? I think I'll call Hiram and ask him. Does he know about the
Our
program?
police department, we have a very big community policing
We haven't
initiative.
had the chief on for a while. I
It's
always
time.
enjoy that. Yeah.
The Chief's been very busy. Simsbury is one of about 1.5% of towns nationwide that are accredited.
Yeah.
And our department is right now working very hard to get re-accredited. So really that's the good housekeeping seal of approval that shows that your department's well-trained.
And I want to
and
congratulate you for working hard by trying to stick to meaningful subjects today
Thank
while
you.
I was yammering
I
on.
am. Well, we have a lot of important things to talk about.
We are now out of time. Mary, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Jerry.
And thank all of you, and hope to see you again next month on State of the Town.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.